After months of politicking, town halls, and candidates going door to door, the votes are being cast in the nation's first primary, which could go a long way in shaping the 2016 presidential race, with Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders way out in front in the latest polls. Now, today's big mystery is who captures second place in what has become a tight Republican field. Marco Rubio's perceived stumbles in Saturday's debate have the rest of the field scrambling for that number 2 slot. Now, some analysts saying that the late turn in an already volatile race could keep the governors, Jeb Bush, John Kasich, and Chris Christie, in the contest through at least South Carolina's primary on February 20th. The contenders making their final pitches for every last Granite State vote.
If there's anything that I can do, it's the ability to get people to work together and realize that our legacy will be determined by what we achieve, not the political positions that we take.
The purpose of this campaign is to be in a position to stop the bad things that are happening and to start doing some good things again for America.
At the end of the day, this is a job interview. I'm here asking to work for you.
I have a record. I've done things as U.S. Attorney and as Governor, and I'm proud of all of them. I'm even proud of the mistakes, because the mistakes mean you've been doing something.
I was governor of the state of Florida, where I got a chance to lead a state, and we cut the government workforce by 11%, and people's income grew.
Fox News' chief political anchor and anchor of Special Report, Brett Baier, joins us live from Manchester, New Hampshire. All right, so Brett, it looks like the story tonight could be the governors. And we're hearing, I'm hearing rumbling on the grounds that Kasich might have a little bit of a surprise evening.
Well, hi, Andrea. First, let me apologize by saying I don't have a goatee. I once considered it in college, but decided against it. You're right. The governors are an interesting story here. And I talked to Governor Kasich yesterday. His campaign is bullish on this. They really feel like they have a great ground game. They think he's spent the time here, and that's what New Hampshire likes. He thinks that he is well positioned with the independent voters. That's a large block of the voters here, about 40%, and thinks he can really make a stand here. I don't think the rest of the candidates are out of it by any shot. And Donald Trump, while he is leading in the polls going in, there's a lot of uncertainty here in New Hampshire. They make their decision up in the last minute. Not to say he's not going to pull off a win, but as far as, you know, how much and what the rest of the lineup looks like, it really depends on the final late deciders. I was just at a polling place. It is, I'm told, steady, not record-breaking. It's just one, but anecdotally, they say it's been a steady stream of people coming in.
Brett, it's Harris. I also don't have a goatee, but I like them. You know, a couple of things about the first place where they've already started to count the votes, and we saw just 9 people voted up in the northern part of the state. Sanders shut out Hillary 4-1. Kasich edged out Donald Trump 3-2. But I'm reading that you really can't read too much into that, because that particular area doesn't tell us how the rest of New Hampshire will necessarily go.
Oh, yeah, it's just a quirky little thing. There's a few towns up there, Dixville, Notch, and a few others that have a few residents, and they like to get on the board starting at midnight. We'll know something probably by late afternoon as we start getting the first wave of exit poll results. That'll tell us what the electorate looks like and how it's shaping up. And if it's shaping up that independents are overwhelmingly playing undeclared, as they call them here, overwhelmingly playing in the Republican primary, that could mean good things for somebody like John Kasich, even a Jeb Bush, who seems to in the recent days have been closing, even though he wasn't doing good in the polls coming in.
Brett, you mentioned Jeb Bush. Donald Trump hitting Jeb Bush very, very hard, repeating this crude term that an audience member shouted out about Ted Cruz. Take a listen.
No, Jeb's not going anywhere. This guy's not a guy that can go anywhere. Total stiff. I heard just Jeb Bush is a total lightweight. You see a guy like Jeb, a guy who's a very average guy or less than an average guy, having all of this money where they give him $128 million to waste, and then he takes ads against me. This is a guy who is pathetic. And then finally, the pollsters told him what to say. You're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's a That's terrible.
Whoa, locker room talk, Brett. So does this hurt someone like Donald Trump, or does it help him in New Hampshire?
I mean, how many times are we going to have that story?
Yeah.
You know, does this hurt Donald Trump? I don't think it has. I don't think it will here with the people who are loyal supporters of Donald Trump. I do think it's interesting that he's spending so much time on Jeb Bush. I think Jeb Bush has gotten under his skin a little bit in recent days. He has spent some money attacking Donald Trump, and Donald Trump on the stump is going after Jeb Bush. Interestingly, that's probably not the person who's going to come in second, but you never know. There will be an establishment winner, and eventually there'll be a face-off between that person and either Ted Cruz or Donald Trump.
Brett, before we get to the Democratic side, I want to go to our one lucky guy here. Jonah, how badly do you think the debate performance hurt Marco Rubio? I mean, as Brett mentioned, there are those late-breaking voters at the very end, about 20, double-digit percentages. Do you think that hurt Rubio? Do you think they could have broken with Rubio and given him a striking distance opportunity for Donald Trump?
Well, I think you have to be honest, it had to have hurt him, and less so than the actual debate, which I think Rubio won except for those 3 minutes, which is sort of like saying the theater went great except for that 1 minute from Mr. Lincoln. But the problem is the constant repeating of it as a viral thing that I think has hurt him, and he's done about as good a job as he can explaining himself and trying to mitigate the damage. And you know, Rush Limbaugh has rushed to his aid to say, and I think, no pun intended, and I think Rubio makes a good case. There is an actual deep philosophical disagreement on the right between people who think Obama is incompetent and people who think what Obama is doing is deliberate. And I think that's a good argument for Rubio to have. He just delivered it badly.
Yeah.